Hello, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Good evening, ma'am. Yes, you are audible.
Ma'am.
Okay. So, have you all watched the video lectures of week one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, did you try to solve the questions for the activity or practice assignment question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, in this session, we will have the summary of week one. Okay. So, now let me share my screen. Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, yeah. So, these are the topics that you have to study in week one. So, the very first and very basic thing, what is statistics? Okay.
Ma'am, the
So,
recording of this will be available na on YouTube channel
yes.
for whole year, or would it be removed
Yeah.
after some period of time?
No, 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 it will be there.
Forever,
Yes. At least for the term.
for the 1 year.
I think it's not deleted, it will be there on it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So these are the topics we have to study in week one. Okay. So first is what is statistics? So under statistics, we have two branches like descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. And in all, like to study inferential statistics, we should know what is a sample and what is a population. Okay. And then we will study about how we collect the data. Okay. And what is the variable and cases if we have a data set. Okay. And then we will study about the types of data. So broadly, we have two types of data, categorical variable, categorical type of data, and numerical data, which is also known as qualitative and quantitative type of data. Okay. Then we have cross-sectional and time series data, and we will study about the measurement scale for categorical and numerical data. So have you all gone through all these topics? Yes or no?
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
fully,
I
ma'am.
have
Not fully, but most of them.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, yeah. So the very first thing is what is statistics? So anyone would like to say about this thing? What is statistics? If if you have studied it, anyone?
Ma'am, analyzing and visualizing data.
Okay. So the statistics, yeah, what we try to do, suppose we have a question in our mind that we want to answer. What we can do, we can collect the data, okay? And with the help of data, we can do some description, we can get the summary of the data, we can do some analysis and try to get the answer of our question. Okay, we try to get the conclusion from the data. Okay, so statistics is nothing but the art of learning from data, right? So we perform the analysis and different kind of methods we apply on the data and try to get the answer that we want, right? So these things we will study in this statistics one course in the upcoming weeks. Okay. So the first thing we have to study is the branches of statistics. Okay. So majorly we have to study two types of statistics, which is descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Okay. So in descriptive statistics, what we do, suppose we have a data. So what we try to do, we try to understand the data. Okay. What information we can get from the data. Okay. So we just try to summarize the data and we get the description from the data, right? Okay. This is the first thing. Okay. And in the next thing, what we do, based on the, suppose we have some data, and if we try to infer something for the future, right? Or for the inferential study, what we do, we have a population. Okay. Suppose we have a large population, which is not possible to do the complete enumeration for the population. So what we do, we take a small example of, sorry, a small sample from the population, and we try to study that sample. And on the basis of that sample, we try to get the information about the population. Okay, so this kind of study is called inferential study, right? So in descriptive statistics, what we do, we just try to understand what the data is telling to us. Okay, and in inferential, what we do, we try to infer something about the population, or we try to predict something for the future, right? So the part of statistics concerned with the drawing of conclusion from the data is called inferential statistics, right? Is it clear? Any doubt between the descriptive and inferential part?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So for studying the inferential statistics, the next important thing that we have to study is population in sample. Okay. So suppose we have some examples here. Okay. The percentage, if we want to know the percentage of all the students in India who have passed their class 12th exam, okay, and they are studying the engineering. Okay. Suppose we have this question in our mind and we want to get this. We want to get the answer of this. Okay. What we will do? We have the whole population. We will take sample of it, and we will study the sample. And on the basis of that sample, we will try to get information about the population. Right. So the next is the prices of all the houses in Tamil Nadu. Okay. The next is the total sale of cars in India in the year 2019. Similarly, the age distribution of people who visit a city mall in a particular month. Okay. So these are the kind of questions that we want to answer with the help of statistics, with the help of data. Right? So what we can do, so most of the cases, it is not possible to examine the whole population, right? It is not practically possible. Sometimes it's not feasible, because if you are examine your whole population, it will take more money, more time, more efforts, right? So what we do, we take a sample of it, and on the basis of sample, we try to get information about the population, right? So what is population? The population is the total collection of all the elements that we are interested in. Okay. And what is sample? Sample is nothing but the subgroup or the subset of the population that we study in detail. Right? So is this clear now? What is population and what is sample?
Ma'am,
Yes,
can
sir.
you give a appropriate example of this?
Okay. So suppose these are the examples that we have. So these are the questions, suppose that we want to answer. Okay. So in the
Yeah.
first one, we want to know the percentage of all the students in India who have passed their class 12th examination and is studying engineering. So in this situation, what will be your population? Your population will be all the students of India who are in the class 12, right? Like who have passed their class 12 exam. Okay. And you know
Yeah.
that it is very it's very difficult to gather the data for all the students in India who have passed their class 12th exam, right? So what we can do in that case, we can take a sample of students who have passed class 12th exam from the different part of India, like from different states, right? So
Yes,
in that
ma'am.
case, all the students of class 12 passing in India will be your population. And the sample, it depends on you how you are taking the sample. Okay, so the part of your population, the subgroup, that will be your sample. So similarly, in the second example, prices of all the houses in Tamil Nadu, right? So we want to know the prices of all the houses. So what we can do, we can take some of the houses of Tamil Nadu state, right? So all the houses will be your population, and the houses that we are taking as a sample, like that we are taking to examine. Okay, so that will be your sample. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next is the purpose of statistical analysis. So we have studied the descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Okay. So now how will you know like when we have to do descriptive and when we have to do inferential, or the study that we are performing it is descriptive or inferential. That depends on the purpose of our analysis, what we are trying to do with the data. Okay. So suppose if the purpose of our analysis is just to examine and explore the information for its own intrinsic interest only. Suppose you have data, okay, you do not want to predict anything, you just want to know what the data is telling about. Okay, so you are suppose you have a data from a school, okay, you have some name of the student, suppose, okay, you have their suppose age, marks obtained in class 12, suppose, okay, and suppose the stream that they are selecting. Okay, so suppose we have some suppose 10 students. Okay, we have 10 students, we have the data, this data, we have their age and the marks obtained and the stream they are selecting. Okay, so we just want to know what is the highest marks obtained. Okay, what is the average marks obtained, what is the lowest marks obtained. So these studies kind of descriptive analysis we are performing, right? And suppose we have this small sample, and on the basis of this small sample, we try to predict the result of the entire school. Okay, suppose we want to predict the result or the performance of the entire school in class 10th, suppose. So we are taking a sample of suppose 10 or 20 students, and on the basis of those students, that sample, we are trying to predict the performance of the entire school. Okay, the entire students of that particular class. So in that case, the study will be inferential, right? Okay, so in the second point, it is written that if the information is obtained from the sample of a population, and the purpose of the study is to use the information to draw conclusion about the population, right? So in that case, your study will be inferential. Okay. Is any doubt till this point?
No, no. You playing inferential statistics and example.
Sorry.
No, no. Not understanding inferential statistics. We explain an example like inferential statistics.
Okay, you are asking the example. Okay, you're not properly audible to me. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so
Yes, ma'am.
inferential, yeah. So suppose, yeah, I have given you the example already. Suppose you want to predict the performance of a school, of a particular school, suppose, in the class 10 board. Okay, like how many students passed. Okay, or any performance that you want to know. So what you can do, you can take a sample of class 10 students. Okay, so you can take a sample of 50 or 20 or how much the strength is. According to that, you can take the sample of it. Okay, and you can collect the data on those students only, those 10 or 20 that you are taking. So you can take the sample and the information on that sample. Okay, and by analyzing this data, this sample, you can predict or you can get information about the entire school. Okay, so like on the basis of this sample, you can say like 90% students passed in class 10th. So if you are doing this kind of a study, that will come under the inferential study. Because what you are doing on the basis of sample, you are getting information about the population. Okay, we are drawing conclusion for the population. Okay, so in that case, your study will be inferential. Okay,
Okay, ma'am. Yes,
and
ma'am.
if you're
Ma'am, I
not,
have a follow-up. So, ma'am, I have a follow-up question. Like, does inferential statistics always based on a sample, or can we also directly get inference from the population?
okay, so like if you are this is the one case, like if you are taking a sample and basis of the sample, you are saying something about the population. This is inferential statistics. One more thing, like suppose you have a data, and on the basis of data, you are predicting something for the future. Okay, so if you are making any prediction, okay, that also kind of inferential studies.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Can I download this video lecture after?
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, I want to say something. Can I download this video lecture?
So this video will be provided to you on the YouTube. You can find this video lecture.
But
So
I'm
you are
not finding.
talking about this notes, this PDF.
No, ma'am, I'm talking about video lecture, so that I can say after
Video
something.
lecture of the professor, yeah, or the session,
You know,
like this instructor session you're talking about, or the professor like video lecture.
look, professor is listening. I'm talking about discussion.
So
Yeah,
that
like
will be
this.
uploaded in the YouTube.
But not available, ma'am. I am finding, but I did
So
not
in
meet.
the calendar, you will get the YouTube link. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Ma'am, so for inferential
Sorry.
statics, there should be a two condition. This should be based on sample and population, and the second condition is it should based on I think based on some information. So if any conditions apply, suppose there is in any question there is only one condition, it's based on anything. It's based on anything, and we are getting information from that. So then it will be inferential statics, or both conditions should apply.
No. Just try to understand what does it mean. Okay. It is not like a condition that you have to check. Okay. Okay. See, the word inference, what do you understand by it? Infer, like you are trying to
In
infer something, right?
information.
So yeah. So whenever you are trying to infer something on the basis of something, right? That is the kind of inferential study.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you give an example for a descriptive study that is done on a sample, but it is just a data, but there is no inference from it? Can you give us example for it?
Yeah. So you mean you're talking about this point, right? When we are performing the descriptive study on the sample only.
Yeah, but it is not inferential.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
I couldn't get that.
Yes. So see, suppose you have taken the sample of 10 students. Okay. And what you are doing, you're not talking about the population, not talking about the entire school. Okay. You
Okay.
are just analyzing this much data on the 10 students. Okay.
In the
So
sense,
you
the
have,
details about the sample and population is not available for us to infer something about that descriptive data.
yeah. Suppose you just have a data, you don't know about like it is a population or sample. What you are trying to do, you are doing like you are trying to do like you're trying to get if you have this variable mark, okay, and you are asking about what is the highest marks obtained or what is the lowest marks, okay,
Okay.
or
Okay.
what is the range of the marks in which students have achieved their marks, or what is the average marks, okay.
Ma'am, but ideally, I mean, in practical situation, this data would have also been from some population, right? Like only that it is not expressed. Is it not that way?
Yeah, that can be a case also.
Even then, we call it as descriptive. If the data on the sample details and population details is not available, we call it take it descriptive because we couldn't infer something because of it from it. That is what.
See, like, okay, read the third point. The descriptive study can be performed either on the sample or on
Yeah.
the population also. Okay. So what do you
Yeah.
mean by descriptive study? Like we are trying to get information. Suppose you have, like, as I said, like in upcoming weeks, we will study about the mean, median, mode. Okay, the
Yeah.
range, the quartile range. Okay, so these are the kind of descriptive study that we perform on our population also, or on the sample as well. Okay, so if
Okay.
you're not making any like predictions, okay, and you're
Ma'am,
just
if the marks obtained by all these 5 people are above 90, then it infers that every kids are taking more than 90. Is it not so? There is an inference from any data, right? Like that's what I'm confused with.
sorry, I'm not getting your question.
Ma'am, if the marks obtained by the 5 students,
Could you please ask
sorry,
one by one?
So
ma'am,
basically, what I feel, sir, ma'am, the answer would be that inference would be only for that 5%, not for the whole
Yes,
population.
yeah.
That's why.
So if you're talking
okay,
about this 10 sample only, this 10 number of students only, okay?
okay, okay.
Yeah, so that
Thank
will be a descriptive study.
you. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, why don't we use inferential statistic on population data?
See, if you have entire population, then why will you predict something? Like you have entire population, if you have it, then you can analyze your entire population. Like if it is feasible, then okay. And if analyzing the entire population is not feasible, suppose if you have a large number of data, right? Suppose in that case, in this example, mm, you have to analyze the class 12th students from all over the India. Okay.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
okay, so analyzing all the students of India who are passing class 12 will be very difficult, right? So in that case, what we do, we take sample and we analyze the sample. And on the basis of sample, we try to infer something or we try to say something, drawing conclusion, something for the population. Okay. If you have a small data, which is the entire population, you can analyze the entire population as well. Okay. So that depends on you and your purpose and the kind of data.
Yes, ma'am. Understand.
Okay. So that
Hi,
depends on
ma'am.
you. Yes.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah. Ask it.
Ma'am, suppose there is a population and I have taken a sample from that large population, but how do you know that a sample is that sample is a proper representation of the whole population?
Yeah. So these things we will study later. I will come to that point also. Okay. So any doubt till this point?
Sample is basically a subset of population, like certain kind of special uh, example from population.
Yeah. So sample is nothing but the subset or subgroup from the population only. Population itself. Okay. Now there are very methods for drawing the sample also. Okay. But this you don't have to study in this statistics 1 course. Okay. The main thing you have to study, like a sample should be the representative of the population. Okay. So there are different methods also, but these are not in your syllabus of statistics 1 course. Okay. So these are some advanced things. So don't worry about those things at this point of time. Okay.
Hello, ma'am. Can I
Okay, and
quickly ask a question?
yeah.
You said that if it is feasible to get the entire population, then we can just perform descriptive study on it, and there's no need for inferential study. But my question was, what if we want to perform a study to like make conclusions about the future?
Yes, yes, you can do that also.
So that
You
will
want
still
to,
count as inferential statistics, even if we're performing it on the population, right?
yes, if you're predicting something for this future, right?
Yeah.
In that case, it will be inferential study.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So should I go to the next step? Okay. So the very next and very basic thing again is data. What is data? Okay. And why do we need to collect it? Okay. So we know that data is nothing but the facts and figures, right? So suppose in the previous example that I showed, that if you want to assess performance of a school in the class 10th class, in the class 10 board. Okay, so how you can do this thing? We will take some data, right? So what we will do, like we will gather the information on the different students. Okay, and on the basis of that data, we will try to answer our question, which is to assess the performance of the students in a particular class. Okay, so data tells you about the facts and figures. Okay, so what we do, we collect the data, we analyze it, we summarize it, okay, and try to get the answer of our question. Okay, so it just gives you an idea about the things that you are trying to study. Okay, so how, like, why do we collect data? I have told you this thing that if you have something to, like, you have a question in your mind, you want to answer. So how can you do this thing? You will collect the data, right? You need to collect the data for this. And by analyzing the data, you can get your answer, right? So here are a few examples. So if you are interested in characteristic of some groups or the groups of people, places, things, or events. Okay, so if you want to know the temperature in particular month in Chennai, okay, so what will you do? You will collect the data and the on the basis of the data, you will try to predict it, right? Okay. Next is to know about the marks obtained by the students in their class 12. Okay, so how can you know this thing? You will collect the data, you will analyze the data, and then you will get the answer of this question. Okay. So data, so there is two things. So there are very many government sites which publish their data. Okay, so you can use the already available data also, or you can go and collect your own data. Okay, so that depends on the purpose of your analysis, what you are trying to do. Okay, so you can collect the data also, or you can use the already available data. Okay, next is there are two kind of you can say that structured and unstructured data. So anyone would like to say something about this unstructured and structured data, if you have studied it?
Ma'am, structured data is the one which is in a specific format, which has a format, and unstructured data is which doesn't have any format.
Yes. Anything else?
Structured data is what is in a kind of table format, means data explicitly means organized. Unstructured means it is not properly
Yeah.
organized.
Yeah. So the data which is properly organized, which we have in some specific format, okay, or which we can quickly summarize, like you can get an overview from the data. Okay, so that is a kind of structured data. Okay, and suppose I am collecting the data, like I'm writing the name, like suppose Anjali, which is 18 years old, okay, and has science, math, okay, and I am writing in a sentence, and I have written everything in a paragraph, right? So it will be difficult to understand it, okay? And suppose if I make up data in some structured format, suppose I make it in a row and column format, suppose I'm writing the name of the student, okay, or you can take the customer or any kind of data, okay, and you are suppose writing the age, okay, then you're in the other column, you're writing their suppose marks or anything, okay, like depends like what kind of data you are taking. Okay, so you can say that analyzing this kind of data is more easy, right? In this kind of textual data, I have written something in 10 lines, so that will be difficult to interpret. Okay, so this is kind of unstructured data. Okay, so what we have in structured data, how we make this kind of data is we have two things in this: variables and cases. Now we have
Ma'am, I'm
to
not
study.
able to see your screen.
It's visible.
It's visible.
Yeah,
It's visible, ma'am.
yeah, there will be network issue at your end. Okay. Okay, so the next is you should know about the variables and cases for the structured data. Okay, so most of the time you will see the data in the tabular form. Okay, so it has columns, right? And it has rows.
Ma'am, I think there is some setting if somebody is not able to see it through what option the person can see the screen.
Oh, I don't think so, because like all other students are
I am
able to
using on phone, ma'am. Actually, I am on my phone, so I don't know how to switch to the screen because I am on that.
quickly
I
exit
think
the meeting
I
and
think you can
rejoin
leave
it.
the meeting and then
And
join
even
again.
I am on phone, it is possible.
But
Yeah, there
I
is
guess
no
through
settings
some
from
option
our
I
side.
have gone back. So,
No, you
is there
can
any
just
option
slide
through
to
which
the
I
right
can?
and left. What are
What?
you seeing on your screen? What are you seeing on your screen?
I'm just seeing the icons of the people who are there to
Yeah,
speak and who are
just swipe to
participating.
the left. Just swipe the screen to the left.
Okay, 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 got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So in structured data, what we have some variables, okay, and we have cases. Now, what is variable and cases? So as the name, by the name, you can see variable is something that varies, right? Okay, what is the general meaning of variable? Like the values of the variable varies. Okay, and cases or observation is something for which we are trying to collect the data, right? So in that case, in the previous example, what we are doing, we have a column or a variable name. Okay, so it will have the names of different students, right? We have age, suppose 18 years, suppose 19 years, suppose 17, 20, but like this. We have mark. So out of 100, suppose someone got 70 marks or someone got 72, 80, 90, 92. Okay, so in this way, so you can see that these are the variables. Name is one variable, age is one variable, and marks is another variable. Okay, which have different values, right? Okay, so variable is something that is varying, right? So here you can see someone is 18 years old, someone is 19 years old. Okay, someone has got 70 marks out of 100, someone got 72 or 80. Okay, so these are your variables. Okay, and now what is case or observation? So the data we are collecting is for the students, right? So for the different students, okay, we are trying to get this data. So these different students, each student will be your case, right? Any doubt in this?
Ma'am, can we define that each and every first column of a row should be a case?
Uh, Please repeat it.
Ma'am, can we define that each and every first column of a row can be case?
Okay, so it's not a condition that it should always be a first column, but generally it is. But like it's not a condition that only the first column it will be your cases. But
So, ma'am,
generally we can
to
see it.
whom the data set is referring, that are the cases.
Yes, for what we are trying to collect the data,
Okay, ma'am.
right? That will be your cases. Okay. Suppose if you are collecting data for a grocery store or a supermarket, so maybe if you are collecting the data for every customer that is coming to your shop. So in that case, each customer will be your case or observation.
Ma'am, can we say that cases are like a subject that we are talking about, just like name and page, all those?
Yeah, actually, what is case? The unit for which you are trying to collect data. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So that depends on the data. So on seeing the data, you will have to see for what we are trying to collect it. Okay, and what is the case and what is the variable here. Okay, so like the example that I have. Okay, so in that case, in that data, cases or observation was your student. Okay, and variable is what? The name, age, the marks. Okay, so that will be your variable. Now the next is that rows represents the case. Okay, and for each case, same attribute is recorded. Okay, so what we are trying to do, so there is suppose row number 1. Okay, this is your first row. Okay, this is your first row. Okay, this is your second row. So what we are doing, for each case, suppose this is your student number 1, this is your student 2. So for each student, we are recording the age, marks, and other things. Okay, so this is the like interpretation of this line. For each case, we are recording the same attribute. Okay, and each row will represent each case, right? And the next is the column represents the variable. Okay, so like here you can see this is one column, right? This is another column, right? This is another column. Okay, so column 1 represents the variable name. This column represents the variable age. This column represents the variable marks, right? So in the columns we represent the variables, and in the rows we represent our cases or observation. Okay, and the next is that for each variable, same type of value for each case is recorded. So what do you understand by this point? Anyone?
Like name case, you can only put names of student like that.
Okay, any other thing?
The data type of one column for all rows are the same.
Okay, so suppose you have a variable, suppose height. Okay, so height, you can represent it in the centimeter also. Suppose you are taking height as 172 centimeter, 150 centimeter. Okay, or you can write it like in feet and inch type also, like suppose 5 foot 2 inches, in this way also, right? So both these like this one and this, both are representing the height, but the unit is different, right? So it is advisable to take the unit same. Okay, otherwise it will be difficult to interpret. Okay, for some students you are you are collecting the height in centimeter, and for other students you are writing it in the feet and inch type. Okay, so that will be difficult to interpret if you have entire data. So it is advisable to take in the same unit. Okay, so this is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
thing. It is not wrong. Okay, this is not wrong, but it is advisable that you should take all the data, all these values in the same unit only. Okay. So the summary is that each variable must have its own column, okay, and each observation must have its own row, okay, that we have seen. Each variable like name, age, and marks, they have their own columns, right? And each observation, like these different students, have their different rows, right? So any doubt in this part?
Ma'am, observation and cases are one and the same thing.
Yeah, observation cases, yeah, same thing. Any question? Okay, the next thing that we have to study is the two kind of data, which is one is categorical and the other is numerical variable, right? So broadly, we can classify the data into two parts, categorical and numerical. Okay. Or we can say categorical as qualitative and numerical as quantitative also. Okay. So what is categorical and numerical data? Anyone would like to define it?
Categorical is a qualitative and numerical is a quantitative.
Okay.
When we need to find conclusion, we take the help of numerical data, and when we want to describe anything, we would take categorical data.
In numerical data, we can apply mathematical operators,
Arithmetic.
right? And in
Yes.
categorical data, we cannot apply any mathematical operators, but we can compare them.
Yes. Yeah, it's correct that on numerical. Okay, so numerical, yeah, as the name suggests, it will have numbers, so we can perform the arithmetic operation. Okay, And on categorical, like it is just categorizing the data. Okay, so it will be kind of names or labels, right? So categorical, like it kind of defines the quality of something.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, if we want to categorize something, should the data be structured?
If you want to categorize something,
Yes, ma'am, because there was a question where there was many types of variables like uh, shoes, his customer names, and there was some suggestions. So suggestions was unstructured data, so it was not being counted in the categorical variables. That's why I asked.
okay, so how like suggestions, how will you categorize it?
I mean, there was a question where in the assignment question where there was saying
Yeah,
that
so
what
suggestion,
number of
okay, so suggestion, you can see like suggestion will be kind of factual data, right? So that you
yes, ma'am.
cannot directly like if you are trying to get feedback on something, okay, and people are writing their comments like in textual format, they have written some 3 4 sentences, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so it is difficult to interpret directly from that sentences, right? So we need to first arrange it in a proper way, then only you can get some conclusion from it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why it is kind of unstructured data.
Okay.
Okay, so categorical data, suppose you are trying to write the gender of person. Okay, you have student or customer, you are writing the gender. Okay, so it will be like there will be 2 categories, suppose male and female.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
or you are suppose giving rating to the restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it can be good, poor, or excellent something, right? So
Yes.
there is kind of categories in this. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
and numerical is something like you are trying to measuring the height, okay, or you are writing the number of students attended a class, okay, or number of days taken in completing a project. Okay, so in this we are defining our data by using the numbers, right? So that is kind of numerical data. Okay, so in numerical data, like also called quantitative data, okay, describe numerical properties of cases and have measurement units. So numerical data can have units also. So as we, if you are trying to take the height, so the height will can be like in centimeter or inch or feet. Okay, weight can be in kilogram. Okay, so it can have units also. Okay, so this is written here also, like a scale that defines the meaning of the numerical data, such as weight measured in the kilogram and the prices in rupees and height in the centimeter, etc. Okay.
Ma'am, this PDF will be available in the portal now?
Yeah, this PDF is available.
Hello.
Hmm.
Ma'am, is it possible to analyze unstructured data?
So you will have to like study it. Okay, so you can transform it into the tabular form also. It's not like you cannot get any information. Okay, but you will have to like do more efforts on it for analyzing it. Okay, suppose you have 4 pages of document, you have to study that. Okay, and suppose you have a data in some tabular format, which one will be more easy to you to understand,
Tabular data.
right? So this is the difference. So you can
Yes,
also
ma'am.
get information from the unstructured data, okay, but it will be difficult to interpret. So what we do, we try to like organize it first. Okay, we arrange it first and then draw conclusions from it.
Yeah, but we can analyze it.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, that something that is measurable, can we say that is numerical data?
Yes. Anything else? Any other doubt? Okay. So the next we have to study is cross-sectional and time series data. So this is very simple. Cross-section is something that we try to collect at a single point of time. Okay. So we are trying to collect the data for one point of time. That is cross-sectional. Okay. And time series is something that we collect over a period of time. At different point of time, we try to collect the data. Okay. So, for example, suppose we are trying to collect the data for December 2024. Okay, suppose we have 20 stores, okay, 20 grocery store, okay, and we are trying to collect their sales, okay. So for 20 different stores, we are trying to collect the sales data for the single month, like for December 2024 only, okay. So at this point of time only, we are trying to collect the data for different stores. So that will be the example for your cross-sectional data. Okay. And for time series data, what we can do is, suppose you are collecting the data, you have one grocery store, and for those, for that, but only, like for that single store only, you are trying to collect the sales data for different months in a year. Okay. So for January, February, up to suppose December. Okay, December 2024. So for different months, you are trying to collect the sales data for one store. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are trying to collect the data for different point of time. So that will come under the time series data. Right? So in this
Yes, ma'am.
example, yeah. So suppose this is the example. So in this example, what we have taken for the different dates for the month of March. Okay, 1st March to 30th March, we have collected this data like potato, the quantity, okay, and the cost of it, and the selling price. Okay, so we are collecting this data for different days, for different point of time. So that will be your time series data. Okay.
Ma'am, we are collecting data end of year, then it will be cross section or time series. End of year.
Okay, can you tell me the entire question? Like end of the year, like what we are trying to collect?
Suppose we are collecting data end of year, so it will
Like
be
end
time.
of the
It
year.
will be end
Okay,
of
so
the year.
end of the year,
Yes.
like it is a particular time we are collecting. So it will be a cross-section data.
Okay.
Ma'am, but it is saying end of the year, so shouldn't we take the whole year data?
No, you are saying that for the end of the year only.
Yes, ma'am.
So like it is giving you a particular time, not a period of time.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, any other question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so next we have to study is the scale of measurement. Okay. So these are the like measurement that we use for the categorical and numerical variable. Okay, to measure them. So as we have seen, there are two kind of variable, categorical and numerical. So broadly, two types of numerical we have seen. So for categorical variable, the scale of measurements we have is nominal and ordinal. Okay, and for numerical variable, we have these two, interval and ratio. So categorical variable can be of two types. Okay. So for example, I have a variable, suppose color. Okay, which has the values like blue, green, red. So you can see that these are just names or labels, right? There is no order in them, and we cannot perform any operations, mathematical operations on them also. So we cannot say that blue is greater than green, or green is less than red, or red is superior to green. We cannot make these kind of sentences, right? These are meaningless here. So these are just used to categorize the data. We so like this is just a name or label for something. So that is something that is kind of nominal variable. Okay, but if we have some order in it also, then it will be your nominal ordinal data. Okay, so here you can see it. When the data for a variable consists of labels or names used to identify the characteristics of an observation, the scale of measurement will be nominal. Okay, suppose name. So we have names of 10 students or 10 customers. Okay, so we cannot say that suppose like student 1 is greater than student 2. Okay, or suppose we have board. Suppose CBSE board, ICSE board, and state board. So state board is double as CBSE, or ICSE is uh, half of ICSE, CBSE. Like we cannot make these kind of sentences here, right? So these are just trying to identify the characteristic of your observation, right? Suppose the blood group A positive, B positive, O negatives. Okay, so these are just for identifying your observation, and there is no order in it. Also, they do not have any inherent numerical value, right? So these kind of variable will be your nominal. Okay, so this will come under the nominal scale. Okay, there is one thing that we can code these nominal variables by using the number. Okay, suppose you have a variable in which you have two categories, suppose men and women. Okay, and what we are doing, we are coding the men as 1 and women as 2. Okay, or men as 3 and women as 1. So what we are doing, we are just using this numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 for the representation purpose only. It does not mean that the value of men is 1 and the value of women is 2, or the difference is 1. Okay, we are just using these numbers for representing them. Okay, so whenever you are getting these numbers, so you should know the difference, like it is for the representation only, and there is no inherent numeric meaning of these numbers in this case. Okay, and there is no order in this variable. So this kind of categorical variable will come under the nominal scale of measurement. Okay, next is ordinal scale. So ordinal scale, it has all the properties of nominal scale, but the order or the rank is meaningful here. Okay, so if the categorical variable has all the properties of nominal variable, also it has meaningful order, then it will come under the ordinal scale of measurement. Okay, so for example, the ratings. Okay, so we can see that excellent, it is better than good, and good is better than poor, right? So there is order in these categories, right? So these kind of variable will be come under the ordinal scale of measurement. Any question? So ordinal is nothing but the name categories that can be ordered. Any doubt in nominal and ordinal scale? Am I audible?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, next that we have is interval scale of measurement and ratio scale of measurement. So both interval and ratio are used for the numerical variable. Okay. So in interval, it has all the properties of ordinal variable. Okay. And the interval between values expressed in terms of fixed unit. Okay, which means you can find the difference between two values. Okay. So we can find the difference between any two values, but we cannot find a ratio, because in interval scale of measurement, 0 is an arbitrary point. 0 does not mean that absence of that variable. It do have some value. Okay, so 0 is an arbitrary point. So that's why we cannot perform the multiplication and division operation in interval scale of measurement. Okay, so what we can do, we can only perform the addition and subtraction. Okay, because it does not have any absolute 0 point. Okay, so very famous example of temperature. So if the temperature is 0 degree Fahrenheit, so it does not mean that there is no temperature, right? 0 degree is also a temperature, right? We cannot say that temperature is absent. Okay, so this kind of variable where 0 is have some value, like 0 is an arbitrary point. Okay, and it is not representing the absent of that variable. Okay, so that will be your interval scale.
Ma'am, last time also I asked to sir about my question, but sir was saying you can ask to instructor. Sir,
Okay.
ma'am, I asked temperature in Kelvin, how it is a ratio scale measurement, because temperature in Kelvin practically not possible 0 degree, but theoretically it is possible if I talk about the concept of thermal energy. But practically it is not possible. So in one questions, like at practice assignment second, I think 14 questions. They are
So
given.
like Fahrenheit or Celsius. So in that 0 degree have some temperature, like some have a value, but in Kelvin, like it shows the absence of the motion something.
So
Right?
temperature in Kelvin is a ratio scale measurement,
Yes.
but practically it is not possible. So how?
So in zero Kelvin, like I'm not sure about the physics thing in as of now, but it shows that like there is no motion, something like this. So that is why we say this thing. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Okay,
And you know that in Kelvin ranges from 0 to infinity, right?
right.
Okay, so 0 like kind of shows the like there is no motion something. I'm not sure about the Kelvin scale in the physics term as of now, but this is the thing. Okay,
Like
but
motion
in
of particles can happen in 0 degree 0 degree Kelvin, according to third law thermodynamics.
okay, I will see this thing. Okay, and then we'll tell you in the next session.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, in one of the practical assignment, it says that if we subtract interval measurement, we will get ratio measurement. How?
So like if you have two variables which comes under the interval scale of measurement. Okay, and if you subtract them, then you will get a value 0, which means which will represent the actual absolute 0. Okay, so the difference will become the ratio, that variable which is representing the difference of the other two variable, which comes under the interval scale.
Will you explain it with
Suppose
examples?
suppose you have ratings. Suppose we have a variable, suppose this rating 1, and suppose rating 2. And there is another variable which is representing the difference. Suppose I'm writing the name as difference only. Okay, so suppose rating is starting from suppose 1 to 5. Okay, the person can give rating from 1 to 5. Okay, so suppose someone has given 5, 4, 3, 1, suppose 2, 4, 2, 5, suppose. Okay, so if you take difference, this will be 3. Okay, now if you subtract these two, this will be 0. Okay, this will be 1. Okay, and this will be in minus. Okay, so this variable is just representing the difference between these two ratings. Okay, so in that case, okay, you can say that 0 difference, which means the rating is same. Okay, so in that case, you can say that this variable will have ratio scale of measurement, because here 0 means 0, which means 0 is an absolute 0 point and not an arbitrary value.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's why if you take the difference of two interval scale of a variable, like variable which has interval scale, then the variable, this variable, okay, that will have the ratio scale of measurement.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
is it clear?
Understand.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is the point.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Hello.
I was asking, but that is not absolute zero, right?
So here in this case, it will be absolute 0, but not for these two.
How it is absolute zero? It's not like that. It's absolute absence of the ratings. Rating is still there. You are just pretending it's like zero, but
No,
it's
actually, no. She is not like telling you the rating, it is telling you the difference. Okay, so here you can see that 0 means there is no difference between these two ratings.
okay.
Right? That is right.
And does it apply to all? I mean, does it apply to every instances in interval or some selective?
No, it will be applied for all.
Suppose I have interval scale of like what clock time. Okay, consider the day of time measured in
See, what is the
hours.
thing here? What you are trying to do? So if you like in interval scale, you have some value. Okay, like suppose x,
Okay.
I'm representing in general. Okay, so if you subtract it from the same value, you will get the 0, right? Okay, and
Okay.
here 0 will be representing, like if you're taking the difference, there will be no difference. 0 is representing there is no difference. Okay, so 0 is not any other arbitrary value. Here 0 has its own meaning. So that is why we say that if we subtract two interval scale variable, you will get a ratio variable. So this is the concept
Ma'am, I
that is
didn't
used here.
understood the interval scale. What is an interval scale?
Okay, so in interval scale, so first of all, it is used for describing the numerical variable. Okay, let's take another example also, like if you are taking the GP or CGPA. Okay, apart from this temperature example. So suppose GPA is given from 4 to 10. Okay. So here also we do not have any 0 as like 0 will be an arbitrary point. Okay, and also in interval scale, we can only find the difference. Okay, let me write something. Okay, suppose we have a temperatures like 10 degrees Celsius, 20 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius, and 40 degrees Celsius. So the difference between these two is 10 degree. For these two also, the difference is 10 degree. Okay. And for these two also, the difference is 10 degree. Okay. So the difference between two values for an interval scale, that we can find. Okay. But the ratio we cannot find, which means we cannot say that the 40 degrees Celsius is twice hot as 20 degrees Celsius.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the thing. Like someone has got 10 CGPA and someone has got, suppose, 5 CGPA. But we cannot say that 5 CGPA is half of 10 CGPA. Okay. So this is the thing. So that's why we say that for interval scale, we can perform the addition and subtraction, but we cannot perform the multiplication and division operation in interval scale. But for ratio scale, we can perform all the arithmetic operation, because here 0 is a absolute 0. Like if the variable has value 0, which represents the absence of that variable. Right?
Ma'am,
So,
Suppose the example is height, weight, age, and mass. Okay. So if the weight is 0, like there is no weight, right? Like the thing does not exist if the weight is 0. If the age of any person is 0, which means the person does not exist. Right? Age of any person cannot be 0. Like the person is not born even. Okay. So 0 is showing the absence of that variable.
Ma'am, in this case, what we are basically saying is that ratio scale is a continuous scale. Am I correct?
What do you mean by continuous here?
Continuous means the values, I can always find a value between two values,
The values which can be measured.
right? It's a continuous.
Mm,
So I
like,
can draw it on a number line, right? Whereas it in the interval, it's a discrete scale. It's a discrete value. So
no, it's not. It's not correct to say that interval is discrete and ratio is continuous.
why so?
That depends on the variable.
No, for example, ma'am, that the temperature that he was talking. So you are saying that even though the temperature can be on a continuous, still it's an interval. That's what you are saying.
Actually, we should not use the terms discrete and continuous in this case. Like,
Okay. Okay.
it is
Okay.
representing the scales for the numerical variable. Continuous variable and discrete variable will be another thing.
Acha. Okay. So
Okay.
interval. Okay. Fine.
Discrete variable and continuous variable is another thing. We will also study those concepts in upcoming days. Okay, but here we are trying to study the scales for the numerical variable.
Yes, ma'am.
These are
If
two
a
different
variable
things.
has a ratio scale of measurement, then it can either be continuous or discrete. Both
Yes.
the cases are.
Yeah, both cases can be there.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
depends on the variable.
so ma'am, I had a question from the assignment which said like the angles were a ratio measurement. So I was confused in the sense that angle goes from 0 to 90, 180, 270, and 360. So in a sense, 0 and 360 are same, right? Or am I confusing?
Sorry, can you repeat the question
So
again?
the angles is a ratio measurement, right?
Okay,
The
so
degree.
yes. Yeah, because
So,
0
but
degree, like how can you draw a 0 degree? Like it will be this line only. Like if you have to draw
what?
an angle, suppose this is 90 degree, right? And this is
Okay.
suppose 45 degree.
Okay. And I'm saying like in a Cartesian scale, like if you are doing 90, 180, and if it goes to after 270, 360 degrees, basically again zero, right? Like it comes a whole round.
Yeah, it comes as, so that will be your 360 degree, right?
Okay, so it coincides. Okay, okay. It goes around, so the value increases, right? So, okay.
Yes, any other question? Okay, so the difference, like from the thing that you can, by which you can check whether it is a ratio or interval, is to analyze this thing that whether it has absolute zero or not. So that will give you a quick understanding about the variable, whether it should be interval or ratio. Okay, so because interval.
Ma'am, there is a question. I want to ask something. Ma'am, in a video which was provided by IIT Madras, there was an example in which the data was related to students and their roll numbers were given. So the question was to find the cases. So in this question, the cases were the roll numbers, but not the students.
Yeah, so maybe in that case, we were like collecting the data for the roll number according to the roll numbers. Suppose we have 10 students in the class, okay, from roll number 1 to 10. Okay, so what we are trying to do, we are not worrying about the name of the the student. We are just trying to collect the data for roll number 1, for roll number 2 to roll number 10. Okay, so in that case, we are collecting the data according to our roll numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why the roll number will be a case.
Yeah, right. Okay. Thank you.
Can name be a variable in that case?
Your voice is very low.
Can name be a variable in the above case, which told?
Name be a variable. The example that I have taken.
Example he told now.
Name will be
Yes,
a
names
variable. Yes.
can be variable.
Yeah, name will be your variable.
This column has different values, so
yeah, different names of students. So it will be a variable. Okay. In fact, roll number. Okay. If you are writing like this, roll number. So this roll number is also a you will say that it is a variable. Okay. And these 1, 2 to 10, these will be your cases. Okay. Each different roll number, 1, 2, 3 up to 10. This will be your cases or observation. Okay.
yes,
But
ma'am. So it means that observational cases are something from which we get the data.
yeah, for which we are collecting the data. Okay, like for
Yes,
rule
ma'am.
number 1, we are writing their name, their age, their father's name, mother's name, date of birth. Okay, so according to our roll numbers, we are collecting the data. So the different roll numbers will be our cases for observation.
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
ma'am, I was asking that cases also addresses by the other synonyms like records, observations, and samples. Hello, ma'am.
Samples, sample will be our like entire sample.
Case has only one synonym, that is observation, I guess.
What word you are using?
I was reading the dictionary. There was a synonyms for the cases like examples, records, and observations and sample. So I'm asking it is correct or not.
See, like if you are searching in a English dictionary, that is that will be in different context. Here we use cases or observation in this way only. If you are writing cases as sample, that will be wrong.
Okay.
Okay, sample will collect will have some like consist more than one values, but case is like a single case.
Ma'am, you said that the serial number is a variable here.
This roll number is a variable.
Sorry, roll number is a variable, and 1, 2, 3, 4 are the cases of the observation.
Yeah, roll number. This roll number is a variable because see, roll number has different values 1, 2, 3 up to 10. Okay, so this roll number particularly is a variable. Okay, and these 1, 2, 3, 10. So this 10 or 1 or 2, these are your cases.
Yes, ma'am. When we
But
look at
earlier
it
you said that
individually,
cases come in rows, but here the cases are coming in column.
No. See, in this way. So for roll number 1, this is one row, suppose. Okay. For roll number
Okay.
10, this is one row. In this way. For roll number 10, you have name, father's name, age, or marks, something. Okay. So each
Okay,
case,
ma'am.
the case, so it has its own row which has the information for that particular case or observation.
Yes, ma'am. Earlier you said that every row has cases, different cases.
Okay, wait. So this is the thing, right? Row represents the cases. This is the question, right?
Yes.
Okay. So try to understand what it is saying. Like these are the different, yeah. So these are the different columns. In column, what we represent the variables. Okay. Suppose we have a column, okay, and the variable is age, which has different values. Okay. And suppose suppose this is your one case. Suppose the name is Anjali. Okay. So for Anjali, so this is one row, and in this row, we are collecting the information for Anjali only. Like her age is 80, marks is 70, her father's name, mother's name, like this. Okay, so this is one row, and Anjali is a case.
Okay.
Okay. And for column, like for a variable, so it is a one variable. Okay. And these are the values for this particular variable. Okay. Name is another variable. Name is a variable which has these values, different names. Okay. But Anjali is a case which has this like information on this particular case.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
ma'am, I have a question.
Hmm.
Ma'am, in this graded assignment, there was a question which said that Netflix collects data of its users across different countries at the end of year 2020. So, ma'am, so the data collected, is it a time series data or cross-sectional data?
Okay, see,
I'm
first, okay, let me clear one thing in the first session
Yes, ma'am.
only. So if you have a graded assignment, okay,
Yes.
so like we cannot tell you the answer of the graded assignment before the deadline.
Okay, ma'am.
But you can ask your doubts.
Ma'am, so I'm confused at this phrase, at the end of year 2020.
Yeah, so
Does
at
it
the
mean that
end,
at one point or?
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, at the end, okay, right? It is not giving you a period of time. It is giving you a particular time, like end of the month, end of the year.
Yes, ma'am.
So it will be a particular point of time.
Okay. So it's like, yeah. So mother, the same thing can become like at one particular time. And if you take like the whole year from 1st January to 31st December, then
Yeah,
it
it
can
will be
become time
mentioned in the
series.
question itself.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello,
Yes.
ma'am. How mobile number is nominal data?
Okay. See, so mobile number have 10 digits, right? Okay.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
okay, let me write a random digit, a random mobile number. Okay. So suppose this is mobile number 1, and suppose this is another mobile number. Okay. So now tell me, can you say that suppose this is first number and this is second number? Okay.
No.
So yeah. So can you say that mobile number 1 is greater than mobile number 2?
No.
Can you say like, or can you add these two numbers, these two phone numbers, and create another phone number?
No, ma'am.
No, right? So we cannot perform mathematical operations on it. Okay. Also, there is no order. So if you have different phone numbers, you cannot say that mobile like this phone number is double of this number, or this is greater than this number, right? We cannot make these kind of statements for the mobile number. So these are, although these phone number uses the numbers, but it is a categorical variable, also nominal, because we cannot perform any arithmetic operations on it. Okay, they do not have any inherent numeric meaning in them. Also, there is no order, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So these will be your nominal variable.
Ma'am, I have a questions in case and variable. Suppose
Okay.
each name is a variable. Then there is also given another column where is a father name. Father name is also unique. So father name will case or variable. Because father name will be also unique. So what will happen here?
See, you don't have to check the uniqueness. Okay. So suppose you have a column, father's name.
First student name and father name.
Okay. So, like case will be those things for which you are collecting the data, right? So father's name will not be the case. So father's name is a variable. Okay. Different students will have different name of their fathers, right? So father's name will be a variable. For different roll numbers, you are collecting, or for different name, if you are collecting the data for the name, if you have any other data set, okay, suppose you have customer data set or any other data set. So if you are collecting the data for customers, so each different customer will be your case. And what other information you are trying to get for the customer, those will be your variables. Okay.
Suppose we are collecting data for roll number, then name will not case. Each
Name will
name will
not
not
be,
case.
no. If you are collecting the data according to the roll number, so roll number, these different roll numbers, 1, 2, 3, up to 10, these will be your cases. And the other
And
name,
student name.
others name. So in that case, name will not be your case.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So that depends on the purpose, on the kind of data. It's not always the name which is case. Okay, that you will have to check in the data, like for what you are trying to collect it, from what you are trying to get the information. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other question? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Can you explain the how to convert the interval scale to ratio scale again, please?
Okay. So this is the thing when you have two interval scale variable. Okay, and when you subtract those, okay, in that case, it will become a ratio scale.
But we can say the same about centigrade and Fahrenheit, as they can be also converted to 0 degree centigrade or 0 degree Fahrenheit. But those aren't ratio; those are interval, right?
Like you cannot take very different variables. Like you're taking two things that cannot be subtracted from each other. So you should not take those kind of variables. Like in the example that I have taken, both were ratings, so we can subtract them, right? So here we
Any
are
other things than
subtracting it.
ratings that can be also counted as such?
Like CGPA you were taking. Okay, so trying to
Okay.
understand what it is representing. It is representing the difference. Okay, so difference can be zero, right? So that's why it is a ratio scale, because it is representing the difference which can be zero. And here zero representing the no difference, which means like both the variables having the same value.
Okay.
So this is the thing.
But ma'am, if we took an 24-hour clock, there is also a zero in the clock. It's midnight, but that does not mean there is no there is absence of time.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Then what
So that
should it
zero is
count as?
also representing some time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it's ratio or interval.
It should be interval.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so the summarization. So we have studied the 4 scales of measurement. Okay. The nominal, first of all, we studied nominal. Okay. So in nominal, we have only the names, okay, which is used to categorize the data, right? Suppose the name, blood group, right? And there is no order in the nominal scale. Okay. Just for categorizing the data, we are using the names or the labels. Then in the ordinal scale, we have the name or the labels for the variable, but in that we have some order also, right? Suppose the rating or ranking, right? So suppose you are rating to a restaurant, poor, good, and excellent, right? So good is like superior to poor, then excellent is higher to good, right? So there is some order in those categories. So that will come under the ordinary scale. Okay, so these two are used for the categorical variable, right? And the other two, interval and ratio, these two are used for the numerical data. Okay, so in numerical, we can find the difference between two values, right? So for example, the difference between 20 degrees centigrade and 10 degrees centigrade is 10. We can find it, but we cannot find the ratio. Okay, and there is no absolute zero in it. Okay, so zero is an arbitrary point. Zero does not mean the absolute zero. Like it is not representing the absence in the case of interval scale. But in the ratio scale, true zero exists. Okay, which means if the variable has a value zero, which representing the absence of that variable. So that will be your ratio scale of measurement. Okay, so this is the reason in interval scale we can perform only addition and subtraction, but in ratio scale we can perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, suppose age, height, weight, marks, these kind of variable, right? So suppose someone got 40 marks and someone got 20 marks, right? Someone got 20 marks and someone got 40 marks. So we can say that 40 is double of 20. Like this student has got the double marks from this student. Right?
Ma'am?
So we can find the ratio here. Yes?
Ma'am, if a study is about observing the weight of some sample, in that case, can weight be zero?
Weight of?
A sample, any sample, like say for example, weight of school students or something like that. So weight is a variable which I'm interested in. And in that case, how can weight be zero?
Yeah, so that is what I'm saying. So zero weight, which means that absence, like no person can have zero weight, right? Which means zero is representing the absence. So weight is having the ratio scale of measurement, because zero means zero only. It is not representing any arbitrary value. So zero is representing the absence here in ratio scale of measurement.
Okay.
So this is the thing, okay? Any other question?
Ma'am,
Okay,
how
so
cost upon unit will be a ratio school measurement? Cost upon unit.
sorry.
Ma'am, cost upon unit is a ratio scale measurement or interval
Cost
scale
per
measurement?
unit.
Yes, ma'am.
So if the price or the cost is zero, which means like no price, it is for free, right?
It means its unit is zero or its value is zero.
Like cost per unit, you are asking, right?
Right, ma'am.
Like for one item, the price is suppose 100 rupees. So you are trying to find out the price of 4 units. So it will be 400. Okay. So cost per unit. Okay. So for 4 items, the price is 400. So for one item, the cost is 100. Okay. So this is cost per unit. It is same. Okay. So if the cost per unit is zero, which means that item is for free. Like there is no price for it. So it will be a
So
ratio scale.
cost will be zero, unit will not zero, I think. You are
Okay,
saying right.
yeah, cost per unit, which means the cost for one unit.
Cost is zero. It means free
Yeah.
item.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, even in ordinal scale, we cannot have the plus minus or something like that. Numerical
Uh,
operation we cannot apply na,
yes.
in ordinal
Yeah.
scale.
In ordinal scale also, we cannot perform the mathematical operations because suppose we have an example like poor, we have example of rating in which we have poor, good, and excellent. Okay. So we know that excellent is somehow better than good and good is somehow better than poor. But we cannot do, like quantify the difference between these two, right? We cannot say like good is 10 times of poor and excellent is 20 times of poor. We are not sure about the difference between these categories. Only thing we know is the order, right? But we cannot quantify the difference. Also, we cannot perform any other mathematical operation.
So in interval scale, there is the example is temperature. So all temperature or kind of temperature scales come in that, na? From Kelvin to Fahrenheit to
No.
Celsius.
Kelvin will be a ratio scale.
Okay. And what's GPA here in the example of interval scale?
Yeah, GPA is kind of CGPA that we get in your exams.
Okay.
Grading point. Okay, yeah. Any other question?
So, ma'am, in interval
Ma'am,
scale, we can
GPA.
only have difference. We cannot divide and we cannot even multiply or anything.
Yeah.
Only difference and sum. We can also do sum.
Yes. Any other question? So, okay, one thing, tomorrow we will be having our Hindi session. The same thing will be taught to you in Hindi. And then the next day, on Tuesday, we will be having our doubt session. Okay, so you solve the activity questions, practice assignment questions, and we will discuss the doubts in that session.
Ma'am,
Okay.
tomorrow the Hindi session you will be taking it.
Yeah, most probably I will be taking that session.
Ma'am, I had a question regarding the portal. So in the supplementary material, there is something called a solve with us. There is a slide attached, but when I'm trying to open it, is showing a blank page. Like, is it a problem only for me or everybody is facing that?
So everyone is facing this issue, or what about others?
Yes, ma'am, we are also facing.
Okay,
I
I
have
will check
watched the
that.
video.
Okay, so if there is a no issue, I will check that. like if it is from our side or for you only. By the way, you can see the solve with us video solution also. So there will be a link, video link. So there also you will get the same question and with their solution.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
ma'am, just to clarify, for the cost per unit, it will be in ratio form, right?
Cost per unit.
Because we
Actually, yeah,
have,
it should be cost per unit. Cost should be 0. Yeah, so it will be ratio.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, any other
Ma'am,
question, or you can leave the meeting.
ma'am, I have something to say.
Yes.
My maths, English, and computational thinking dashboard link is not working. Contacted the support team. They said I have resolved your issue,
Excuse
but
me, 1 minute. You're not properly audible to me.
ma'am, my
Yes.
English, computational thinking, and maths dashboard link is not working.
Okay.
I'm
So you can ask, uh, like you can mail to the operation team,
okay.
or you can put your query in the discourse also. So someone will reply you there.
Ma'am, how many questions we can expect from this portion?
Okay, so in your quiz number 1, from week 1 to 4, this will be your syllabus. So like it will be equally divided from all the 4 weeks.
Okay.
Minor difference could be there, but yeah, approximately equal number of questions you will get.
Ma'am, question would be similar to PYQs of
Yeah, it
September
will be
batch.
kind of similar.
Ma'am, suppose in the qualifying exam I passed maths, English, and someone failed only stats. What would be the possible scenario then?
Uh, no, I'm not sure about these things. So operational team can answer these type of questions.
Is the recording of this video available?
Yeah, so this will be available in YouTube. So YouTube link you can get in the calendar itself. Okay, from where you get the session meeting link, Zoom meeting link. Okay, so there only you will find the YouTube link also. Okay. Okay, so if you don't have any question, then we can end the session now.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, mostly in every session, live session, the recording will be available. But if this session is done by TA, teaching assistant, then also the recordings will be there. Is there any case that the recording wouldn't be available specifically in calendar or something?
So it will be available. It might take few days sometimes. Maybe it is not available immediately, but yeah, in few days it will be available for TA session also. In the calendar itself, you can find it.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So the slides that I was presenting, you can get it in the portal only. Okay, so in the supplementary content, you will find a lecture PPT something. So there you can get these slides.
Ma'am, the
Thank you,
portal,
ma'am.
if somebody left this course after foundation, then also he'll be able to access the portal and all the videos.
So the YouTube videos will be there. In YouTube, you can find the link. If you search it directly, then also I think you will find it. But I'm not sure about the access to the portal. But YouTube videos you can find.
No, ma'am, you have to register again for that. Apply
Yeah,
again.
no, I'm saying that I'm not sure about the portal thing, that portal will be accessible to the person or not. But YouTube videos will be there on YouTube. So if you want to
Okay,
watch
okay.
the videos, you can watch on YouTube.
Because ma'am, I'll be applying after the qualifying exam. I'll be applying for the batch of next year or of the September batch. So I think if I can access the portal till that time, it would be fine.
No, I'm not sure about these things. I don't think that it will be accessible to you that time. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. So now we can end the class.